Right, tomorrow, 2 p.m, Enzo Maresca's Chelsea side take to Stamford Bridge to take on Fulham. Is this last chance saloon, or has the ship already sailed when it comes to our chances of securing Champions League football for next season? Here to discuss all of it with me is the big dog, Josh Aveste. Josh, what's happening, mate?
I'm ready to talk about Chelsea, and I think I've just recovered from Thursday night. Have you recovered from Thursday night after all
Don't
those
know what you're on about.
all those beers on Thursday? There was a fantastic, if you haven't seen it, there was a fantastic Chelsea Fan TV video that I loved. I bookmarked it actually. Whenever you go on that channel,
I do give them gold, don't I?
You really do. You give them more value than I think they've ever had in terms of a guest.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Alex, up your game, mate. Yeah.
That was a shit game. That was because you haven't done a review, have you, for that game yet?
No.
So should we very quickly, in 60 seconds, summarise that game? Maybe you could do it in a couple of words.
Should we do 3 words?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. It was shit.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm glad
we
you
did have the
summarised
ball
it
in the back of the net 3 times, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't count though, did it?
No.
That Tyreek George goal would have been wonderful. I love that boy. I think that boy's going to have a really bright future in football.
Yeah, he's great.
He's never going to play for Chelsea properly. He's not.
No.
I'm sorry to say it.
No, that's pretty why he's going to have quite a bright future.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. So let's move swiftly on from that and let's discuss the Premier League, because this weekend is a battle that Joey cares quite a lot about, because it's the battle between your 2 favourite football teams.
No, fuck off.
Why don't you tell us a bit about Fulham, because you know quite a lot about them.
Lovely little team.
Quite
near Chelsea's ground.
Yeah.
No, I used to go to Fulham games when I was younger. Not before I ever went to Chelsea games.
Yeah.
I went to obviously I grew up going to Chelsea games, and then my best mate was a Fulham season ticket holder, and he had 3 season tickets in the Johnny Haynes. So him and his dad used to go, but then his sister got to like 13 or whatever, and
decided to pack it in.
You don't want to go. Yeah,
No.
You're a 13-year-old girl. You don't want to go Fulham every weekend.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just used to go to some of the games and whatnot up at Craven Cottage when I wasn't going to Stamford Bridge.
Yeah.
Because
there is a famous photo which you could decide whether you want to show it on screen or not.
But no. What it is Fulham and Chelsea never played on the same day, really.
Yeah.
Because back then, you're on about 2005. I'm not saying there was any, to be fair, the other night against Legia Warsaw was the first time that I had seen police horses on the Fulham Road in fuck knows.
Do you want to know a weird hoax that night? You might not have heard this because you were at the grounds. There was a lot of rumours that there was a old before the game.
No way, really?
Yeah, but there wasn't one. But there was these weird rumours going around that there was. And then people were saying that the game was going to get delayed. It was really weird.
Are you sure it's a rumour?
I looked afterwards and I couldn't see anything in the Met Police
It would have
or
got
on Twitter.
reported. It would have
Yeah,
got reported,
and also I think they would have delayed the game if it was true.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing. Oh, should I say this? Yeah, fuck it. I ain't fuck. Legia Warsaw fans snuck into...
Yeah. That's happening more and more, that is, where you're getting fans from opposing fan bases in the home ends at Chelsea.
Yeah, but bruv, I was in the hospitality.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? I was in the hospitality, and obviously, I always do the same thing, yeah? I'll find I'm not saying I'll hide in the corner, but I'll find an area. Normally, it will be that side of the bar by the corner, and then I'll kind of stay in that area, yeah? So I'm not saying it don't mean that I won't have people come over and I won't chat with people and get to know people that are watchers of the channel and stuff like that, because I do it. It's constant and whatnot, but I won't really be moving around from the area. So then when I come down inevitably around fucking 40 minutes into the game, where I was just fuck this, whatever. Spoiler alert, didn't go back up for the second half. Could not give a fuck. Stayed down there at the bar.
I love that.
Had a few drinks. But anyway, then I'm I've come back down and I'm seeing the same faces in the same spaces, but all of a sudden I'm seeing quite a lot of people that I didn't see there first time round, and they're in green and white shirts. And I'm what's going on here? And
How have they let them in?
I think I sent you a few videos,
Yeah, you did,
didn't
yeah,
I?
yeah,
Of
you
me
did.
with a few Legia Warsaw fans.
Yeah.
By the way, like no,
Is there any aggro?
no aggro.
Yeah.
Definitely no aggro. But if it was on the table, they would have been very much there for it. If you know
Okay.
what I mean.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean? by that?
Well, that's much like any football fan group.
I'm a
really.
good diffuser of situations. I feel
Are
like.
you?
I feel like.
What's your technique to diffuse situations?
Don't know.
I feel like you might have done some weird like hostage training in your past because you love these true crime cases so much.
No.
If you want to watch more of the true crime cases,
Yeah, there you go.
check out Joey and
Links
Josh.
in the description.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Like, just like I don't know. I'll show you a video after the game, but there was like one Legia Warsaw fan that probably you could tell like he was going to me. What do you think of Polish people? And I was like. All right.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
very broad, isn't it? Like that's like me going, "What do you think of English people?" Like, well, fucking hell! Like, there's plenty of different people.
Didn't you
like,
make one friend in particular that might not have been a Warsaw fan?
oh, Tony Soprano.
Yeah.
yeah, like gangster fella. But yeah, no. Anyway, basically, what I'm saying is, by the second half, there was bare Legia Warsaw fans in the Chelsea bit, which wasn't like a mixed bit and whatever.
Yeah.
Luckily, it was like Westview Hospitality. I had Jet Set Hospitality sort me out hospitality tickets. Luckily, it was that bit. Had it have been the Matthew Harding or the Shed End that they got into, I think that it would have been a little bit unsafe. And this is what I'm saying. It's the first time I've seen police horses on the Fulham Road in fuck knows how long.
Yeah.
So they definitely had to keep their wits bound. But as far as I never seen no trouble.
I'll tell
apart
you
from me
what,
beating up Alex on
whenever
Chelsea fans.
I bet you did. Do you know what? They've introduced a new search system at Chelsea. You don't go that often to the games,
I don't get searched.
but yeah, well, listen to this. Basically, to get into the East Stand Upper, which I go to, there is now a 20-minute queue to get into the ground because they're doing all of these searches.
Yeah,
and what the searches consist of is patting your legs a bit, putting your arms in the air, patting your chest, patting your back, and then you're on your way.
Really?
The searching of the Legia Warsaw fans can't have been very thorough. Can I just
Clearly
say?
not. They all
Can I
had
just say that?
fucking flares
They had a
and-
flare. I think they might have had a flare each, and they got all of those into the ground. So I think someone at Chelsea might be in a little bit of trouble after that game. But
I'll tell you someone who will be in a bit of trouble after
Yeah.
that game. Enzo fucking Maresca, mate.
I think he is in trouble.
Should we have a little brief recap before we go into Fulham, right? And I've just checked, Man City fucking 2-0 up.
They won.
Everton were holding out 0-0 for so long, and I was thinking, oh, that's good for us. So now I suppose we're hoping, by the time everyone watches this, they'll know the result of the game anyway. But we're hoping for the Newcastle battering of Aston Villa, aren't we?
Draw for me.
Are you really? Do you think?
Draw would be the best result for sure.
Would it?
Yes. Why? If Aston
I
Villa,
don't think you would.
so if Aston Villa win the game, they go above us.
Yeah.
So why is that a good thing?
I didn't say. I said a Newcastle
Battering
battering
of
Aston
Aston
Villa.
Villa
Is the best result for us.
I would prefer both teams to drop points because then it gives us more chance to get through. I'm more interested, really, bearing in mind that Newcastle effectively, I think they're guaranteed over us now, especially with the 5 points difference.
Yeah.
I think the main team that I'm looking at now is Forest. I'm hoping that Forest I'm going to be a Spurs fan for the first time ever.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. So I am looking at Forest and Aston Villa. I think Newcastle are gone. I think the ship sailed. I think that I'm looking. I
just like them to drop
at
points.
Forest and Aston Villa, right?
Yeah.
And we do have to play both Newcastle still and Forest still, right?
Yeah.
But I'm looking at Forest and Aston Villa. They're the ones I'm looking at. I suppose if you were confident in Chelsea winning games, you would go, no, a draw's the best result because then we've still got to play Newcastle and we've still got to play Forest. And Aston Villa have got one or two fixtures in there that I look at and I'm like, meh, they could lose those games.
What ones in particular are you worried about? I'm looking at it now.
Go on then, read them out.
They got City,
Yeah,
which
Aston
is
Villa,
fair.
Aston
Which is
Villa
that's
could
good.
lose that
I'm looking
game.
forward to that. Palace, you never know with Palace. Fulham,
Yeah,
that'll be a
Aston
tough
Villa
game.
Well, pound for pound, Fulham have been better than Aston Villa so far this season in the league. Pound for pound.
Bournemouth. After that, Bournemouth could be a tough game.
Bournemouth
They're not playing very well at the moment.
need a bit of a resurgence, but yeah, there you go.
Then Spurs, who might be new manager. At
You
that
never
point.
know.
Might be new manager, and then Man United in the last game.
You
of the
never
season.
know.
Never know what's going to happen.
So this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But you've just read out what I'm saying, and you can come back at me and you can go, read out Chelsea's fixtures. Yeah, I get it. I do get it.
Oh, Aston Villa 1-0 up.
1-0 up against Newcastle at the minute.
Against Ollie Watkins, 2 minutes. Wow. Sorry, carry on.
So you can look at it at the minute and you can go, well, hold on, like, where do you see Chelsea's points coming from? Good point. But what I would say is I'm just looking at it and I'm saying, like, Aston Villa, there's not one game in there that I go, it's a nailed-on Villa win. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. While I care about what Aston Villa are doing, I'm more interested in how far Forest can fall. Because I think if Forest do go on a result run of maybe 2 or 3 more losses, or two more losses, then they are effectively, they could be dropping out of the race. Yeah. Because they've already lost, I think, 2 on the bounce, maybe 3. 2 on the bounce, I think.
Lost a couple.
Yeah. So that would be important.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Enzo Maresca at this moment in time? Because obviously the main quote that came out, and I sent it into the group chat, me, you and Brian, and I was like, fuck, man. Like, I've been putting my neck on this line. I've been putting my neck on the line, should say, for this fella.
Maresca.
For Enzo Maresca, I would say. I have, wouldn't you say?
I don't know if you've been so positive. I feel like you're quite
similar. Mate. It feels like I have.
I feel like
I'm
quite...
a bit disappointed that you don't just say yes to that
straight
away.
You
because
are.
With fucking the comments I've been getting,
you're positive to the team.
I have lost so many subscribers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Had so many unsubscribes from people who are toxic positivity, brown envelope, things like that, because I've been trying to. I always say the same thing, yeah, and that is that I do feel like you can run on fumes, you can run on vibes, right?
Yeah.
I feel like, all right, they're 1-0 down in a minute, and this may age really badly if they lose 3-4-0 today to Aston Villa.
I don't think they will.
But I look at Newcastle and I say, no, don't tell me that team didn't start running on vibes when things started going well for Newcastle in terms of, like, I've always said they've got a good manager and Eddie Howe, they've got great players and whatnot, but I feel like the St James's crowd is a 12th man. And I feel like the Chelsea crowd is only really heard at away matches or unless you're sat in.
Can you blame them?
No, you can't blame them at all.
Yeah.
Can't blame them at all.
Yeah.
But it's the away fans that will make the noise, or the Matthew Harding, section, or the shed end or whatnot. But, like, a lot of the time, we're not being that 12th man to them at the moment. And that's not me criticising anyone. You can't blame them. There's a lot of discontent amongst the fan base and whatnot. But what I've always been big on is, look, let's try and keep a positive outlook, because I always said, and by the way, I've not been proven wrong on this. Do you remember I said to you, a run in which we get 4 to 5 wins would get us over the line? Yeah. We haven't done that, but I've still been proven right.
If it had happened, we would have been right up there. You are so right.
We wouldn't have been right up there.
We would have been third.
Yeah, exactly.
Potentially banging on the door
when I
seconds.
started saying it, a month ago,
yeah,
to you and Brian, I remember saying it on the kickoff and whatnot, probably more than a month ago, probably like 6 weeks ago, because we had that international break. When I started saying it, when there was 10 games to go, whatever it was, and I went, look, a run of, like, 4 wins, ideally 5, and limiting it to only 2 losses and maybe 3 draws in there. I know that sounds shit, but that will get us over the line. But just quickly, before we get into all that, Steak Mate are back. And this week, our friend Emmanuel has won over £1,000 from a tenfold ACCA with just a £10 stake. And if you want to win money just like Emmanuel, download Steak Mate today. And believe me, this is not your run-of-the-mill betting app. In fact, it's more like if Bet365 and Snapchat had a baby. And we are all chatting, bantering and betting in the Joey Night podcast chat. Also, remember, new customers get 20 quid in free bets when you bet just your first tenner. And StakeMate are offering even more bonuses as you play. So all you need to do is hit the link in the description below to download StakeMate. mate. However, you do need to remember that you must be 18 years old or over. You must be living inside the UK. And most importantly, we all need to remember to gamble responsibly. Thanks very much to Stakemate for sponsoring another video. Let's get back into it.
Yeah.
And at the time, it was a little bit like, will it, won't it? I feel like by this point now, where we've got, what, 5 games to go or so? We've got 5, 6?
We've got 6.
6 games to go. I feel like, but even by this point, so 4 games after I said it, 4 match days, I've actually been proven right there. Because if we had have done, if said we had won our last 4 games, we'd have
Which
gone.
were all winnable.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. So anyway, what I want to ask you is this
Maresca.
last chance saloon, or has the ship sailed in terms of qualifying?
The original question you asked me is, how am I feeling about Enzo Maresca? And I'll answer that question first. The Warsaw game summarised and capitulated my feelings so much that I am now Maresca out.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll explain why. I think the guy was hired in to bring in and implement a style. And what I did is I started going back and watching some of the previous games earlier in the season when you could argue that there was a Pochettino hangover and we were still playing in the way that Mauricio Pochettino wanted rather than the way that Enzo Maresca
Felt
wanted.
a lot better than some of the hangovers I get.
Exactly. The Pochettino hangovers are the best. And ultimately, you and I were Pochettino inners.
Yeah.
I mean, you until right at the end where you wanted him out, but...
But then I
changed your mind.
Yeah,
okay.
I wanted him out after the after the Brentford draw, the 2-2, and then I wanted him back in.
I always felt that I was very much backing him and didn't really want him to get sacked.
Yeah.
I didn't really wobble. But my point is we're not seeing good football. Yeah. We're not seeing players progress, and we're not getting victories. Add that all together, that isn't a recipe for a successful manager, is it? And so what I worry about now is... if we continue with this guy, we might have to deal with mediocrity for a lot more time than we need to.
But it was the comments that he said when he said, like, that we will not play any other way because I cannot play any other way.
Mug. That winds me up, that does.
Stupid
it's pragmatism.
comment.
But also, like, arguably, one of the best managers of all time is going to be on the market, and he is the king of playing pragmatically. Who am I talking about?
Carlo Ancelotti.
Carlo Ancelotti will go into a squad and he'll build a formation based on what he has. He was playing a diamond at Real Madrid when they'd never played a diamond before. He implemented a system where he was like, yeah, I've got really good centre mids. I'm just going to play a diamond.
You know when I said, like, we aren't shopping in a market where we could attract those sort of managers?
Yeah. Why not?
I don't know. It's the first time I've been the more pessimistic out of the two of us. I don't think Carlo Ancelotti would come to us. I think that this is the thing, right? This summer, there is not a big job going. Can you tell me one?
A big job that will be open.
Yeah.
Real Madrid.
Which is Carlo Ancelotti. That's where Carlo Ancelotti is.
Yeah. But as in, that job will be open.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Take that out of the equation. But I'm making my case as to why, potentially, we could get Carlo Ancelotti. Yeah. And then I'll tumble it all down.
Okay, go on.
But why we could potentially go and get Carlo Ancelotti. This summer, there's not a big job open, right? Not only are Man United obviously gonna stick with Ruben Amorim, they would be idiots not to, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, he's gone into an absolute
basket
mess.
case.
Yeah, he's gone into a mess. And there's the difference with Ruben Amorim and Enzo Maresca.
Fucking chalk and cheese.
Enzo Maresca didn't come into it as much of a mess as Ruben Amorim has gone into.
We're 2 or 3 years into a system and we've spent £1.5 billion.
Yeah, so there you go. So say like a Ruben Amorim or whatever. So there's not a Man United job there. There's not going to be a Bayern Munich job there.
There's a Spurs job, but that's not a big job.
That's not a big job. There's not going to be a Newcastle job there. I'd class that as being a big job. Like, I think that Newcastle could attract a Carlo Ancelotti if there was a vacancy there.
Yep.
What I'm saying is, in world football, there's not going to be a big job. There will be well-paid jobs. There will always be work for Carlo Ancelotti in the Saudi Pro League if you wanted to go there. And obviously, it's heavily rumoured that there is the option of the Brazil job.
Yes.
Maybe he'll want it. Maybe he'll take it. Carlo Ancelotti in modern day football is one of the older managers, but he's not an old manager and whatever. And who gives a fuck if he
Still
is,
gets
by the way?
results.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who cares
Yeah.
if he is? Like, look at some. You don't need to be young to be a manager. Do you know what I mean?
I'd be better
look
to
at
be older,
look at
to
look
be
at the
honest
most
with you.
successful managers, and you would say that it's only really Pep that broke the mold in terms of.
Jose.
Yeah, Jose was young, but
Yeah.
you know.
AVB.
Yeah. No. Yeah. What's his name? At Brighton at the minute, he was younger than us.
Yeah. Fuck. I was going to call him Hasselhutter, but it's not.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
Anyway, so what I'm saying is there's not a big job going, and
Yeah.
Chelsea is a big job, yeah? It's a bigger job for Carlo Ancelotti than it would be for, let's say, for example, a Ruben Amorim had Man United never appointed him, right? It's a bigger job for Carlo Ancelotti than it would be for any just random manager, right? And the reason for that being there is history, right? But the problem is there's only history with that, what you can see on the screen behind me.
The badge.
That's where it starts and ends.
Yeah, the club's
That's
different.
the only history. The club is completely different. We play at the same ground and we've got the same badge. And that's it. That's the only history. It's the only way we could get him here. If we were able to get Carlo Ancelotti, it'd be an absolute fucking masterstroke. And I'll tell you one thing with Carlo Ancelotti is if we are looking at our board of directors, for example, and we're saying, like, look, these guys aren't giving the manager much leeway over who is brought in, who is moved on, and that type of thing, then all I can say is Carlo Ancelotti has been massively successful over the last 5 years working under very similar restraints in a very different
club.
situation,
Yeah.
club, standing, and whatnot. Does that make a little bit of a case as to...
It does. Like, by all accounts, if you take out the way that the board are managing the club right now, is a fantastic appointment. He comes in, he gets rid of the chaos, he brings players together, and I think he improves both young and old players to a level in which they really do become completely different players. I think the biggest issue that Maresca faces at the moment is it does seem like the players have down tools. And I feel like when any manager gets to that point where the players aren't playing for you, I almost don't know how he comes back from that. Because it's not like we're going to go through a new transition where we get rid of all of these players and we start again. We're not going to rip everything up now. We're in a period now where we're going to improve with 4 or 5 players in the summer. We're not going to get 10 new players in, are we? We're not.
Well, you're
might
going
get 10 new players in,
to go
including
through the
young players.
list of the apparent targets in a second,
Yeah.
and we'll quickly touch on them.
Yeah.
But I would like to ask you, were the Leicester fans right?
Yes.
Because me and you spoke to quite a few Leicester fans.
Yeah.
And fuck me, the way it's aged, like...
They were trying to warn us.
It's aged. Their takes have aged like a fucking fine wine.
Yeah. We should have listened to them.
Did I ever tell you about my story when I was walking down the
You
street
did.
in
I remember this.
Fuerteventura?
And you told it on the podcast as well.
Walking down a road in Fuerteventura, and it's like a ghost town in this little bit I was staying in, Coletta de Fuste, and these 2 lads had gone, Joey, like whatever, and then they've come over, and they're like, oh, we watch the channel and whatnot, and I was like, oh yeah, you Chelsea fans, are you? And they're like, nah, mate, like Leicester fans, and I was like, oh, are ya? I said, oh, so what's old Maresca saying? Like, what do you think? And they went, thank fuck he's gone.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, really? And they were
Brutal.
like, yeah, mate. They were like, trust me. They were like, he's got no plan B. They said he done really well in the first half of the season. And then they said he absolutely bottled it in the second half of the season. And he said, and they were like, we then, like, the games we should have been winning 5-0. We were winning them 1-0. We were dropping points in games and whatever. And he said we just got over the line because our quality was so superior to everyone else in the division in that championship. But he was like, even the Leicester fans, he was like, he got us promoted as champions, and we were happy that he went. And I was just thinking, do you know what? It might be a little bit of an entitlement thing. And I don't mean that in a bad way towards Leicester fans. Like, Leicester, they should fucking be entitled. Like, they shouldn't be in the Championship, within less than half a decade of playing Champions League football.
They also had the highest wage in the Championship probably ever.
Ever. and that there will probably ever be if you were to put it pound for pound. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? So what I'm saying is, yeah, I understood it, but I was kind of like, okay, cool, fine, but that's like going, that's like me asking you an opinion on a woman, yeah, and you going,
Which you often do.
and you going, oh, she was a fucking bitch. She might have been to you, but she might not be to me. Do you know what I mean? Our relationship might be different to what your relationship was of her. Do you know what I mean? So
It sounds like some family counselling. This does.
yeah, there you go. No, but that's what I'm saying. So I was a little bit hesitant to be like, oh, okay, I'm just going to believe everyone. And then as things are going on, I'm starting to believe them. Here's what I would say, though. If you say to me now, would you get rid of Enzo Maresca and get Carlo Ancelotti in? Then I'd go, yeah, 100%. If you said to me now, would you get rid of Enzo Maresca and get Kieran McKenna in? No, fuck that.
Would you get rid of Enzo Maresca and bring in Frank Lampard?
Like obviously, yeah, from the fact that I love Frank Lampard, yeah, but no, probably not. You could say
you would.
I wouldn't. You could say one. I would.
Go on.
Say him.
What, a former Chelsea manager?
No, he's never managed us.
Go on. You tell. I don't know who you're thinking of.
He's never managed a football team.
What, Ted Lasso?
No.
Go on.
Think about it. You were close when you said Frank Lampard.
JT. You probably would do JT.
I'd roll the dice.
I would.
I'd roll the dice.
Yeah, that's your new catchphrase.
Yeah. No, but I would.
I would too.
I would. Is that mad? Is that mad? I'd roll the dice.
If you
I
think
actually
about
would.
it-
If you said to me, yeah, if you went, listen, do you want JT? Do you want JT and Jody Morris? I'd go, yeah,
Fuck
go
yeah, I
on.
didn't even think about it. So wait a second. It could be JT, Jody Morris as the assistant, Ashley Cole as one of the coaches, Joe Edwards as one of the coaches. Like you, who else would be in that? Who else would be in that group? Probably one of the other ex-players. Hey, he'd bring back Makaleli. Do you remember that we had Makaleli at the club? Bring back all the old boys. It'd be brilliant. I think if you went through. In fact, actually, do you know what, Joe? Humour me for a second. I'm going to go down the Premier League very, very quickly. And you're going to tell me whether you would rather have this manager than Enzo Maresca. Would you rather have the Fulham manager, Silva?
Marco Silva,
Over-
I think is a more proven manager than Enzo Maresca.
So you would rather have him?
I think he's a more proven manager.
Yes
but
or no?
but
I need a yes or no.
because there's so many more intangibles.
I
mate.
need a
What
yes
I'm
or no because it's the game
No.
we're playing.
No, probably not.
Thomas Frank.
Nah, probably not.
Thomas Frank is a better manager. Would you bring back Graham Potter?
No.
Would you?
I don't think you're going to find many that I'd say yes
David
to, mate.
Moyes.
No.
He's doing a much better job at the club in comparison. Oh, it's 1-1 Newcastle.
There you go.
Would you bring in Glasner at Palace?
No.
Would you bring in?
See, you're already looking now. Slim pickings. The only people you could tell me in the Premier League that you
Nuno.
haven't named would be, would I have Unai Emery over Enzo Maresca yet? Would I have Eddie Howe over Enzo Maresca yet? You know what I
Nuno?
mean? But they're not going to... No, probably not. Don't know. Like, I know he's done amazing with Nottingham Forest this season, but I do get it, and I'm not saying that Nuno hasn't done better than Enzo Maresca's done. I'm not saying he hasn't.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, I'm just on about, like... I don't know, rebuild process, whatnot. Obviously, I have always kind of thought, like, give a manager a little bit more time. But yeah, things aren't looking good at the moment. Am I losing faith with Enzo Maresca? Definitely losing faith with him. Listen, if Fulham would beat us, they'd move 3 points behind us. So I think that definitely says that it's last chance saloon. If not,
This is crisis.
The ship has
If we
sailed.
lose this game, mate, we are full head gone crisis mode. And explain why. We could end up finishing 9th. We could end up.
don't.
We could like. There's a scenario in which we lose the Conference League final and finish 9th and get no European football in a Premier League season, which will have the most European places imaginable.
Yeah.
And we could end up like that. So, mate, if
And we could have been top on
what
Christmas Day.
what I'm saying is, I actually think I want to call it now, and I want to say I'm Enzo out now to avoid in 3 weeks' time having the same discussion when it's clearly obvious that he should have been sacked 3 weeks ago. I think his time's done. I'm worried for him. And I think actually he'll be under more and more pressure as the weeks go by.
I think that's more emotional than it is logical.
I think...
Who manages until the end of the season then?
Honestly, JT would be the option then, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but I don't think they're ever going to give him the job. If we look at Fulham, right? Last 10 games, 5 wins, 5 losses, right? But then you look at those games and the wins. Have you seen the wins?
Yeah, they've won against Liverpool, haven't they?
They've won against Liverpool. They've won against... I'm not counting Spurs as a great win, but Forest is a decent win. Newcastle is a very decent win. And also Wolves. And then the losses, like... They haven't lost to any teams that you'd go, oh, you know, it's not like they've lost to an Ipswich, is it?
No, they've lost to Palace, but they were resurgent at the time.
But Palace were top of the form table.
Yeah, they were looking good. Yeah, they've lost to Arsenal. Yeah, no, they've.
I know we normally do score prediction for the end of the video, but I'm just going to put it out there. I think that this Fulham side are easily good enough to take. At minimum, a draw off of us, to be honest, the way we're playing.
I think the positive side of me would go draw, but I honestly think, if I'm being realistic, it could be a loss.
Yeah. Well, speaking about the positive side of you, I think we've gone ultra positive when naming our starting 11. I don't feel that this starting 11 is going to look anything like what we see tomorrow at Craven Cottage, but... For that matter, this is what we've gone with. Robert Sanchez in goal, Reece James at right back, Trevor Chalobah, Levi Colwell and Kukureya at left back, Enzo and Caicedo in the pivot, Cole Palmer in the 10, Noni Madueke one side, Pedro Neto the other side, and then Nicholas Jackson starting as the number 9. Is that as full strength as we could have possibly gone there?
Yeah, I think you want Fofana when he's back fit, but fuck knows if he's ever going to play ever again. And then I think there is an argument to chuck Romeo Lavia in this game. When we've played Romeo Lavia, we always look better. I think you probably want to get Caicedo, Enzo, and Lavia in the team, so maybe the right back, maybe Reece. I think the elephant in the room, mate, is that Reece James played 70 minutes ago on Thursday night, so. It's very unlikely. I mean, this is our team, but it's very unlikely that Maresca's going to pick Reece James. He's officially now a member of the B team.
Captain. He's the club captain.
In the B team.
He's the only one that's won something with us in the whole
Can I just say that if that's not a nail in the coffin enough for Enzo Maresca, that one of the best players that we have at Chelsea, a right back that is the best right back at the club, is starting on a Thursday night in a meaningless game.
Where?
In centre mid.
What side of centre mid?
Left side.
The left side. The left side of centre mid. At least start him on the fucking right side of centre mid.
It's mad, isn't it? So I think those are probably the only players that I would even think about bringing in. Do you know what? Actually, if you're going on form and based on current performances, maybe you would have to say Sancho would earn a place.
Yeah.
But personally, I'd rather have Neto.
I think more likely Neto will be there, and I think that maybe you don't know. It might be a case of like Madueke. It all depends. I feel like with Madueke, you know what you're by 10 minutes into the game. I'd say 5 minutes sometimes. You know what Madueke you're getting.
Yeah. Are you getting 5 out of 10 Madueke, or are you getting 8 out of 10?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. 5 minutes in, I know whether I'm going to see a 5 out of 10 Madueke performance, which sometimes even still gets him a goal, or sometimes Madueke will be the man that just takes the game by the scruff of the neck.
8 out of 10 Madueke plays in the Champions League and deserves his place.
Yeah.
5 out of 10 Madueke is barely a Premier League player.
Yeah, there you go. And I'd say it's about a 60-40 split.
Yeah, which way?
I'd say more often than
10.
not in Madueke's favour.
Yeah.
I'd say more often than not. I mean, when he had that time out of the team, I was looking at things and I was going, do you know what? We spoke a lot about the miss of Nicholas Jackson and what it does to Cole Palmer and whatnot. But I tell you one thing, Madueke comes back in, change things straight away. Even the goals that were ruled out the other night, I get it. Like we're not gonna say, oh well, you know, we did have 2 goals ruled out. It's past that fucking point. It's not excusable. Don't care if you got goals ruled out. There's been big games where goals have been ruled out and whatnot, you know. There's been games when we've complained that goals should have gone against us. We don't, like, you know, we don't ponder on that. But Madueke did set up one of those goals. Madueke looked good when
he's fine, no matter JOEYK, and he should be involved in the squad next year and play arguably. So I'm not too worried about that.
Well, listen, I will put out a post-match review after the Fulham game. Sorry, things have been a little bit slow on the channel as of recent, but I appreciate you guys sticking around. Should we get a score prediction right before the end, Josh?
2-2.
You're going to 2-2. I'm going to 1-1 draw in this one, Chelsea-Fulham. And being that neither of us have actually backed us to get the 3 points, one, that means we should probably win it. And two, it means if we don't, we're probably out of the Champions League race. We may already be out. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. And tomorrow, 10:30 a.m, new episode dropping on the Joey and Josh channel. It's another true crime one. It's another fucking banger. I will see you all in the next one.